Sure.
And
But at a certain point, I don't know if it's 5 or 10% of your capacity.
The one up there, I think, has 2 bars. Must have put them backwards. Such a loser. I think I put the battery in backwards. It won't come on.
it's not right after electric bills.
I don't know.
So I can read number 7.
Is that a good one or
That's a
a
bad
bad
one.
Okay.
How are you?
How are you?
Nothing serious.
Heard you having a lot of computer.
Sure everything's working for you.
You think with 2 bars we're okay with this one? If not, I'll go grab an extra battery so I have it on. You know, when I asked for a laptop, this is what I got, so. I was like, that's big. Thanks.
Did you bring me a cart with it? It's gonna take a cart.
Okay. Is there, so this is, since it's on this computer, it's actually a.
5% over.
Oh, no.
Over a 3-year period. Okay.
No, not. Is there any way for me to sign into my email account?
Yeah, Jody gets.
Okay, so, right.
Sign, shoot again. That's fine. Do that.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sherry, who else here?
All 9.
How many?
You're first, so we can probably just leave that. Let's just leave it up in the way. That we set.
Certain rows where we have. As soon as we get through that very first part, can just, Ryan will just invite Rex, so we'll do this
Oh,
whole
yeah,
thing
yeah.
all together, and then
Yeah.
Ryan will just introduce you and have you come
I'm
out.
gonna go
so.
one row back.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And then when you're done, you're welcome to stay as long as you want, or you can leave as soon as you're done. There you go.
You're okay, no disrespect.
Yeah, no. And you can
Sometimes
tell
getting
people as
home
soon as
is
you're done, you
nice.
can go if you want or stay, it doesn't matter.
So Jared, ran into something that I haven't run into since I've moved. That I can recall since I've been in Erickson, we have 2 lights out at the ball field, high school. And Troy called the fire department today. I think we're gonna need to rent like someone that goes in the fire department.
Oh.
And he's like, once we do it, he's like, I don't know what kind of bulbs or, well, do you have any? You know, like for the ball fields, we got that dialed in now. We have like extra bulbs, we have extra, whatever the cape, what do these things called? That, yeah, all of that, and then CD Electric kind of knows the show, the fire department, so we can get all ready, and then we'll do it with the backfields. But there are 2 lights out. 2 of the light bulbs.
I was just gonna say, boom.
Does everybody
Yeah.
have rentals? I know. I don't know, they did it in the past. Sunbelt.
Sunbelt Rentals out of Salt Lake.
Here. Oh, great. Write it on that.
Or have a sticky note if you want something
No,
smaller.
this one's great. Sunbelt Well, I just did pass away.
Let me see, I'll do some search during the day to see
Okay.
what Tulsa moved.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating, so, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're fine, you're good.
Yeah, ready for what, right?
You know
Yeah?
that I know your response, I know it's yes.
I'm surprised you didn't text me, to be honest.
I
A lot of other people did.
know. No,
If
I
it
know you
wasn't,
better than you think.
you know.
I might know you better.
Rick, I miss, let me just tell you, I miss you. No,
Program last night was very nice.
What's
The
that?
program last
Oh,
night
yeah.
was very nice.
Yeah, I was
Always is.
all over my mind's just kind of everywhere when that's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of
well,
And then
hectic,
Sergeant
20 years.
Bowers, okay.
Really?
Sit here and go like this. It's
Yeah.
not-
I know.
We went
It was,
from
it was,
a big banquet, I don't know if you were ever around when we first started
I
it.
was never had ACE that long.
Yeah,
I was.
when we first started doing it, we did a whole, like, we set up in the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And, they food service catered it and served salad, meal, dessert, food service ladies, you know,
Yeah.
did all of it. It was a big shindig. And then, it's been probably maybe 4 years ago or so, we kind of transitioned away from that and
Let's go with that.
the assortment of freshmen, and people seem to be okay with that. And,
If it disappears.
not quite so stressful, because the big dinners were super stressful, just a lot, you know.
You kind of move through there quick, so that everyone got recognized.
It's about an hour and a half shorter than it used to be, just,
Yeah, I bet.
just this, because we
Yeah,
would
I think
serve
that's-
everybody and kind of get most of the dinner over before we started the awards part of it, so it just took a little longer.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's.
I like the red box.
Mm-hmm. We try to rotate the colors just so the kids have a different color, you know, that go all the way through. So
Yeah.
And then the seniors get a bigger one. So like, you know, the first 3 years, it's the same size, just a different color. And then the seniors are actually 8 by 10 and have like a little insignia, raised little thing on it. And so that's kind of nice. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Last hurrah,
Last
right?
one, yeah.
No, I'm gonna miss you.
Oh my gosh,
It's
sucker
gone
someone
by like
else
that.
into it.
Yeah. So you're all ready for graduation and
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
good? Good. So do you have a big part to play in that? Do you have to do anything special?
I don't know yet. I have a hunch I might be speaking,
Oh,
but I don't know yet.
oh, well, it might be nice to know so you can kind of prepare, right?
Yeah, will be.
That's good. Good for you.
Thank you.
And you got all your plans for college, and you got all that lined out,
Yeah.
ready to go?
I'm just waiting.
That's awesome.
Where are you going?
Live in Utah State. It'll be a pilot.
The lady upstairs that does human resources, her son went through the pilot program there.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to like it, so.
Good. It's a good school. My daughter and son-in-law graduated from there, so it's a good school.
I like Logan a lot. Both my sisters live there, so I'm already down there a lot.
Exactly. Tell them you want free rent, right?
Yeah.
Good for you. Jared, do you think we should turn the lights on now, or?
Because I know there's a book.
Yes.
I just wonder if we could use like Proctor and Center out there. Yeah. We'll work with them and see if we can schedule them there.
It's, I'm just looking at it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Age before beauty. What? Beauty before age. Something like that. Thanks, Sherry.
Yes, I didn't want to.
That's okay. I left work and I went.
Visited there, so.
Perfect. Every once in a while, there's something on there to go right on it, and I mess it up.
Just go over with some soup. You want me to stay for as long as that?
Whatever you feel like you need to do. I mean, if you want to be here for some of this discussion,
Yeah,
that's
Nick's
fine.
gonna be there for a while.
Okay, just when you have to leave, then just get you excused, so.
Mike was operated on this morning. Yeah, he had a cyst on his spine. So Nikki's gone over for a while, then I'm gonna leave.
All right, it is 6:04. I need to call to order the Union County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees School Board meeting. I need a motion to go into said meeting.
So moved.
Second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. And we are in our board meeting. Will we please rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All righty. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second. We need to amend the agenda.
You want to amend it?
Yes, we need to amend the
Move that we
agenda.
amend the agenda then.
Disciplinary action,
Oh,
as discussed.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, we request that you add a disciplinary action, student disciplinary action to the action items.
Okay. So I need a motion to add C in our action items for the disciplinary actions for the student that was discussed in our executive session.
so moved, Mr. Chairman, to
Second.
add that.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. All righty. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items. A, the minutes from the board meeting of 4/8/2025 and the payment of bills.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, we will now move on to our presentations.
Thank you, Chairman Peterson. We do have Kim from the Rec Center, but before Kim comes up, I would like to recognize our student representative, Colby Nelson. It has got to be the funnest assignment he ever has had. So thank you.
Thank you.
Kim, come on up.
Do I just sit here next to my computer? Board Chairman, Kim Larson from Evanston Parks and Recreation District. And thanks for the opportunity and taking the time to listen. I'm here to kind of give you an update on where we're at with our Aquatic Center initiative. I know you have a busy night, so we'll go through a brief slideshow, and then you can ask any questions. Then following that, perhaps have a quick discussion on our operating agreement for the following fiscal year. So I came and visited quite a while ago about our aquatic center idea, and I just want to kind of give you where we're at. So we had a feasibility study performed by Burbach Aquatic and Albertsons Engineering. We have a 99-page report saying that our pool is at the end of its useful life. Yes, we knew that. Renovating the old pool, we looked at, doesn't really fit the needs of our community. It is outdated. The area is very small. When we have big events, we have to split them up into 2 different days. For instance, our Easter egg hunt at the pool, we have to do a Friday and Saturday, otherwise we're over capacity. We can get over capacity very easily there. So we truly believe that building a new aquatics facility is in the best option. Estimated construction cost for a new facility would be $25,922,000. Estimated cost for converting our old pool to more gym space would be almost $2.9 million. So this would help us with 2 problems. 1, our old pool, and 2, our lack of gym space for all these kids and where they can go. Because we could actually take gymnastics from upstairs, move it down to the old pool, and that would open up a 3rd gym for us, which would be fantastic. One of the big things is it's basically pool or no pool. We're pretty desperate, and I'll show you some pictures here showing why. This is a list of everything that is wrong with our old pool. It's the pool room's out of level. It's difficult to maintain. Our equipment room is congested. What happens when you put the electrical with the chemicals, with the pumps, everything becomes corroded. They don't do that anymore when they construct pools. The HVAC air management is poor. We get what's called chloramine-laden air down that gets trapped by the water, and it's just in bad shape. So here's just an example of how the pool lies every day. You see one side is completely dry, the other side is wet, and we have pooling water, which is actually a health violation. The Wyoming Health Department, I know them very well because they have threatened to shut down our pool because of standing water on our deck. And so in order to remedy that, we had to buy an expensive machine to clean and suck up the water, which we needed a full extra custodian to do every single night. There's a lot of corrosion and badness under the pool. You can see in this picture how everything is just shoved in one room. You have, like I say, all the pumps, the electrical, the piping, all in the same rooms with the chemicals, and everything becomes corroded over time. This is under the pool. It's over 40 years old. Go back to that, it could be a haunted house.
Kind of is.
Yeah. So what we are proposing is to put a new aquatic center right next door. If you look at my cursor, this is the existing rec center. Here are the parking lots. We would put it right next door. This is city property that is it was once zoned for recreation. It's now like low density residential, but they can easily move it back to recreational. We propose having a competition lap pool and a recreational pool, and one of the main reasons for this is not because we do have so many visitors, but this competition lap pool is a chilly, I want to say 78 degrees, where this rec pool is a nice 92, 94 degrees. So you hate to put your water aerobics people into a very cold pool. They hate that. And then your lap swimmers, competition swimmers, hate to swim in a very hot pool. Another reasoning for this is we could have a competition over here and it would not stop any programming that's going on over in the recreational pool. Go through some of these. Here's a bit bigger picture.
We've also included, one of the problems we have at the rec center is we are always booked with our party rooms for birthday parties, events, meetings. To have more space, we have created 3 party rooms or rentable rooms, 2 on the bottom, which they have openings to either pool. So you could also use it as like a coach's or officials room. Staff area, up front or lobby. We have ADA family changing rooms, and men's and women's changing rooms. And then the upstairs would be an observation deck, a third-party room, concessions, additional bathrooms. You could rent this party room out by itself, or you could actually rent this whole space. So for instance, our Bear Building Community Center is booked every weekend through September. So I could actually see this as income potential, as you could rent this whole space out for a family reunion or an event. And I think it would rent very easily and be booked up. So here are just some 3D renderings, what that could look like. Here are some concepts of so the pool would have a 0 depth entry on the recreation side. So, I mean, we're talking from babies to elderly with joint problems who can easily get into that pool, because it will be, it'll have the handrails, and those with disabilities or joint problems will not have to go into a ladder to get into it. It would have a lazy river. Lazy river is not only fun for recreation, but it's a great exercise for those, like, say you just get a knee replacement, you go, or for me, it would be it's great walking against the current. It's awesome exercise. Then the other side would be a competition 8-lane, 25-yard pool, lap pool. So I think I kind of went over all the amenities that it would have. It would also have like a water walk, a water slide for the kids. It would have a large spa. And then for the old pool, we would fill that. And one thing with gymnastics we could do is you could use the deep end, convert it into like a foam pit for the gymnastics crash pad. And like I said, we could move the gymnastics equipment down there and open up that third gym very easily for all of our programming. You could also do a blank slate. This would be a cheaper option, just a blank multi-purpose room, which would be used quite a bit as well. Here is just a picture of what the gymnastics, could look like. And some drawings of the gymnastics area. And we thought about a gym, but with the way the ceiling slopes, you could really only have a half court in there. So it seems to make more sense to move gymnastics down there and open up that full court. So big cost, everything costs a lot of money. We would be looking at approximately $28.8 million. And that would be both the conversion and the new pool. And then, of course, you're asking, how on earth are we going to pay for this? We are pushing for a special election this November where we would do a temporary specific purpose tax. This is a sales tax, or you may know it as a penny tax. So it's not on your food, not on your groceries, not on your gasoline, not on your property. It is on the extra that you buy. And one thing I do emphasize is it's temporary, because once the projects are done, this does go away. In order for it to continue, you would have to have another election. And then Two, you must think that all the out-of-town people who come here on their way to Yellowstone, Jackson, Flaming Gorge, Uintas, Bear Lake, all those people who stop here and buy things are helping to pay for the school as well. Now, the tax is a county-wide tax, so I've been working with the other municipalities to come up with their projects. I think I thought we had it nailed down on Monday. We may have had a glitch, but anyway, I have all of the projects into Loretta, who's working on drafting up some resolutions right now for municipalities to pass, to put on the ballot, and the county commissioners. Donors, we will continue to go for donors. You know, everything here, our rec center pool, it was oil money. We don't have that anymore, so now we have to be more creative. We received a donation from the McKinley family 2 weeks ago. It's a pledge. It's a pledge that's contingent upon the passing of the penny tax. $250,000 a year for 3 years. They will match any other grant up to donation up to $250,000. So we can use it to help solicit other donations as well. Fundraising, I'm not sure if we have developed or created it's called the Evanston Recreation Foundation. This is a nonprofit 501c3 tax exempt that will help us with soliciting donations and fundraising. It has a separate board of directors, and we've had several successful small fundraising events, which are more informational events as well. Our big fundraising event this summer is our gala. Please come and support us at our gala. You can get a table for $600. Although this week I'm giving a director special for $550 for a table, or $75 a ticket. And we'll have dancing, dinner, auction, and it should be a fun night. It's June 14th. And then grants. Of course, we will seek every type of grant we can. I have not run across a grant that will pay for an aquatic center, but there are a lot of grants we can get. So for instance, we just got a grant last summer and this summer for free swimming lessons. So if you have grandkids or kids that need swimming lessons, guess what? They're free right now at the rec center. There's grants out there for safety equipment and ADA equipment, and through USA Swimming for timing equipment, things like that. So if you come across a grant that pays for a whole aquatic center, let me know. So plan moving forward, we'll continue to work with Burbox Aquatics and Albertsons Engineering. They do help us with the fundraising efforts and referendum support. The Evanston Recreation Foundation, we meet the 4th Wednesday of each month at 5:30 if anybody's interested. I already told you about our next fundraising event, the gala. Temporary specific purpose tax on the ballot November 4th. Here are the other projects. Lyman is doing the Bridger Valley Youth Club. Mountain View is doing ADA restroom for the town park, plus other improvements such as irrigation and electricity. Bear River is doing a secondary access road for Upper Deer Mountain. Uinta County Fire and Ambulance is asking for 2 fire trucks, 2 ambulances. You'll continue to see us out in the community giving educational presentations. We're going to continue to pursue donors and continue to look for grants. So there we are. That's what we're up to.
Can you tell us what those sister communities' demands amount to in dollars?
Yes, so let's go
So
back.
we're essentially 30 million for what we get.
So yeah, Yeah, 30 million for us. Bridger Valley Youth Club is 7.8 million. ADA restrooms and improvements to Mountain View Town Park is 2.2 million. Bear River Secondary Access Road is close to it's like 800,000, 900,000. Uena County Fire and Ambulance is 3.3 million, for a grand total of 43 million. Yeah. Sales tax will bring in, sales tax is up and down, approximately 3.8 million a year, so about 7.5 years to pay off all these projects.
Despite our intensive efforts to meet our budget, can you remind us how far we went over budget on the domes? Yeah, sorry. In a percentage, I don't need a dollar value, but I know that we went over and it was notable, huh?
10%.
About 10%.
Not too bad.
Okay. So if we add that onto this project, which is almost a guarantee, because that's
These
where
are
projects
all,
go.
these projects have like
Contingencies built into
contingencies.
them?
So did
built
ours.
into
So 10,
them.
15%.
Yeah.
So did
Okay.
ours.
So over that.
10%
so yeah,
above the
yeah.
contingency.
Because those were
Yeah.
based on October last year bid dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time you get it started, jack it up 20%.
So by the time you do all of that, we're looking at a 10-year tax,
Yeah.
is by my best estimates.
Well, if you get 4 million a year out of it, right?
What's that?
That's to get to 40 million.
Right.
We're at 50 million, then we're
Yes.
longer than that, so.
Well, she was saying 7.5 years at 45 million, 43 million. And by the time you add the contingencies in, we're at essentially 10 years, worth of tax. And the significance of that is, and I'm just making sure that we've got everything up above board, because it sounds real easy when we say we're gonna add a 1% tax, or a 1 penny tax, until you go buy a truck. Now, instead of $3,500 in taxes, you're paying $4,200 in taxes, an extra $700 per individual when you go make a major purchase. And so the 1 penny tax is significant on our locals as well as the.
Well, and that's.
If you're buying this would be my argument, if you're buying a $90,000 truck, which,
Yeah,
Well, that was based
Yeah.
on 70,000,
Yeah,
which is typical truck.
$70,000.
And the voters just shot down an increase in taxes last November, I believe.
Well, I just want to make sure that we don't,
Yeah.
that we don't focus on the 1 penny and forget what that means. So, that's it. That's all I
Well,
have.
the communities, the other communities, that's the thing, is it's going to be countywide, and we're pulling 30 million of the 40 million over to Evanston. How much support are you going to get out of Lyman and Mountain View?
So when we
Bear
started
River.
getting together, we kind of agreed upon population, based on population. So we started out with Evanston, which has 75% of the population. And from there, that's where we came up with numbers. So actually, to be honest, with Lyman and Mountain View's projects, they're over what their population is, based on, like if you were to divvy it up by population, so.
And then the other thing is do you have an alternate plan at all? And the reason I'm going down this road is because obviously you are aware, we want to get a field house. And there was a lot of opposition from throughout the district, right? And I think the reason that a lot of people were nervous about it was the dollar figure. And the reason the dollar figure went to where it was at is because everybody had their own little wish list.
Yeah.
And as I'm looking at this facility, is there a lot of wish lists inside that facility that's driving up this cost, where it could have been less and more of a chance for it to pass? And that's all I'm telling you right now, is when people start looking at, we're going to try to raise money at $45 to $50 million in Uena County, maybe.
And that doesn't include maintenance costs
No,
after
I
the
know.
facility's
Yeah.
done.
It's just a start.
Yeah.
What's the return on the investment?
Yeah.
50 years?
No, the last pool lasted 40 years, what we've got there, but, so. And that's just my comments, right? I mean, I just know that
Yeah.
as we went down this process not too many years ago,
Yeah,
I know there was a lot of pushback from other agencies.
yeah.
Other agencies that push back against our wanting to build a field house. And so just worry, or not worry about, but think a little bit about creep, right? And as you were looking at this and as you were presenting it, I think there's a lot of things in there that maybe are the fluff and the little frilly things that might not necessarily be needed as you go after money, so.
And that's a good point. This concept that I showed you tonight was our 9th try. And when I say that, it's because, you know, I also don't want to put so much money into something that we're gonna regret. Why didn't we do this? Sure. For instance, making it one pool, you could put like the competition lanes with the recreation portion. However, you would have to shut down one side, you know, or the other, and you would have to adjust the temperature. And then, you know, what happens when perhaps Davis Pool goes out and we could have had a chance to have this. I'm thinking about future generations, like, are we gonna be like, dang, we wish we would have done it this way if we were gonna do it?
We said the same thing.
Yeah.
We said the exact same thing.
And I voted for the field house, just to
So, but I guess that's what I'm going down the road, right? Because I know Laramie dropped 18 million, almost $20 million on their pool. And it is a strictly competition pool. How much did Green River put on their pool? Strictly competition. 22 million. So, and I guess the figures, I'm just kind of looking at this, you know, and you're looking at two different pools and the maintenance of two different pools, and like I said, so as you go forward with it, maybe there should be maybe a little bit of an alternate to this, and maybe that dollar amount isn't so scary to think about.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good point. Yeah. We have 8 other concepts that we've discussed, so.
sometimes it's nice to aim high, but sometimes we miss.
Yeah,
So.
good point. Yeah.
I didn't mean to be antagonistic, I just wanted to,
Oh,
you know,
no.
make sure that we're seeing.
No, I
the entire
love, no, the
package.
questions are great because this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go talk to people face to face, hear their concerns and get the feedback. And
What percentage of the population uses the facility that we have currently right now? 20%, maybe,
for the pool,
for that whole recreation, the whole rec center?
Oh, that's a
You've got,
decent percentage.
I don't know, you got 12,000 people live in this town, 15,000,
12,000.
I mean, how many people?
I mean, if you
Use the facility.
included, that's a hard one, I mean,
Right.
to answer, because if you included everything the Parks and Rec entails, I mean, we have the golf course, we have the cemetery, everyone uses that at some point. We have the recreation
I'm just asking about the rec
center.
center.
The rec center.
I think it's low. She
You
might
know,
have.
we have just around, during the week, Monday through Friday, 300 to 400 community members walk through the door, and that's not including spectators that go watch their kids play or the programming itself. Those are people that swipe in to use the rec center, is about 300 to 400 a day.
And I guess that was my point, well, as I was trying to say, the two pools, right? You're saying the competition pool for like Little League swimming, is that what it would be used for?
USA Swimming is
Yeah, so-
actually very huge in other states and in this state. The reason we can't grow is because we don't have a pool for those kids.
We don't use Davis?
We, 1 day a week, because they have to pay for it, and we don't want to increase the costs anymore than we have to, and, but like our rec pool isn't really sufficient, like they can't practice their dives and starting block and this and that. So we used to, go to Davis 4 times a week. But
Okay.
I mean, that program could really grow. It's just like we could have a meet, but it's also difficult because you have the USA standards and then the school district also. We have to have your employees run the timing equipment, and your software needs to mesh with their software, and it was a little, we tried it once, it was a little hard. And then we have to pay for all, a day or two. Usually USA swim meets are 2 days, 3 days, so.
I think the design's very well thought out in terms of giving something for everybody, right? We're thinking about our seniors and water aerobics classes, which is the most popular at the rec center. We're thinking about our kids, thinking about having a place to teach swimming lessons. All of these things coming together in the one space will be immensely valuable. And like you said at the beginning, it's really a question of pool or no pool for as a community. That is a space that is open to everybody all the time.
Well, I agree. Kim's
Yeah.
done an awesome job of putting together
Thanks.
an incredible
Yeah.
facility. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does touch babies to 100-year-old plus. And I would say, like, if you don't swim, that's why I try to emphasize, there's also community, like, you could rent out that space. It would be a great, for conference, family reunion, and that such, because we are in need for those community spaces.
How many employees would it take to manage and maintain that new facility?
We would need another front desk receptionist.
Okay.
We already have it, we already pay for and have a full-time aquatic supervisor. We have a staff of 20 lifeguards right now, and WSI, we already employ those people, custodian. So we would just move them over. And just to let you know, this old pool, this last fiscal year, we put about $30,000 in repair in it. We're just band-aiding it. And I hate to do it every time but we'll keep it going as long as we need to, until we figure something out, so.
Okay.
Okay, those are all good questions, and
Any other questions?
anybody?
No, great, Kim, thanks.
Move on to the rec agreement?
Oh, yeah, onto the rec agreement.
Okay, so from last year, I just changed the dates. I feel like things went okay. I don't know how you guys felt. I would be fine just going with the same agreement that we kind of hashed out last year. Unless anyone else says otherwise.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, we do like the changes that were made last year. We like to see them continue. The rec center has been a good partner as always, and I know there were some concerns about the Aspen field, and they probably still exist by members of our board, and that's probably the only issue that I think we saw and have, and I think that's been taken care of, hopefully, so.
I think there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, right?
Yeah.
Because of the mill, and we agreed for them to receive the entire mill again. But I think some of the people on the board kind of understood that the money that was given to the rec department on the mill end was going to offset the cost. And those costs were not going to be passed on to the individual kids and groups. So when all of a sudden we were getting these hate mails and phone calls of what we were doing to them, that I think there was a little misunderstanding of where that money was supposed to be coming from and how they were going to pay for the use of our facilities.
So we did, for the traveling teams that aren't our programs that we don't get any revenue from, we increased $5 per kid.
Okay.
$5.
And it don't matter how much it is, if there's an
Yeah.
increase, they're going to,
Yeah, we caught the blame on that.
we got we got the hate.
Yeah. And we never, I hope nobody thinks we are profiting from these groups at all, because we sure aren't. We're just helping offset the costs of what it takes to maintain and coordinate and, hire, have all our lifeguards, with every single school group that comes through, and, you know, we're in terror. We've had hundreds of school kids in our rec center, which we love. We love it. We don't want it to stop, so.
So the rec agreement is up for approval next month.
Yes.
So that's typically how we do it. And Kim, unless you want her back next month, probably wouldn't have to come, but we'd definitely have a portion discussion item on the agenda to discuss the rec center bill, or rec center agreement if you have it, so.
Anybody have any questions on it at all?
Okay, and if some comes up and you would need me back, I am happy to.
Okay, I'll be in touch.
Okay, well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Good job.
We'll let Kim go home and start sticking pins in her Brian doll.
She already did that.
She already started.
All right, we can move on to our next presentation, Ryan.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, we did get a request from Gerald Smith to attend tonight to provide a donation to our music program. So Gerald and friends, come on down. Introduce yourself, please, and go from there.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ron Lorgan, and came here thinking we're doing something good, but y'all are talking about millions of dollars.
I'm Trevor. I'm the founder of the Venture Boys Crew. It's basically this whole snowmobile group we go right around with every year. And we hosted a fundraiser this year in regards to our business being recognized locally and kind of doing all kinds of things. But anyways, we had a bunch of raffles and whatnot, and we ended up coming up with some proceeds we wanted to donate to the Edison High School music program, or the school program period. Oh, hey, Ryan, how's it going?
How you doing?
Anyways, yeah, so we managed to come up with this. We could have had a lot more, but unfortunately, my brother passed away this year in an avalanche, and we had to take some of it to put towards his burial and stuff. So this is going to be kind of a yearly thing we'd like to do. So maybe every year what we and Ron have discussed, and Gerald is picking a different program, just kind of donating a little bit of what we raise every year to this.
To help the kids, and the music program's good for their academic future. And
So I'm going to stop you just for a second. I need each one of you to step to the mic and introduce yourselves, because this is fantastic. It really is.
Yes,
And then I'd like for you to explain a little bit what the Venture Boys are.
There you go. That's the next part.
Yeah, I know. So please introduce yourself and what this is. I think this is fantastic, what you guys are doing. So I'd like to recognize you guys.
My name's Ron Lorgan.
Here's step to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is also being
My name
streamed.
is Ron Lorgan.
Okay.
I'm Gerald Smith.
Okay.
And once again, I'm Trevor Harmon. I guess I'll be the curator for the demonstration here. But anyways, I own a company called Highland Adventures south of town, about 30 miles here. And this year, my riding crew, the guys, Moses is part of us anyway, some of us couldn't make it. But we basically just tear the mountains up on snowmobiles and have a great time quite often.
Venture Boys is a snowmobile club.
Okay, all right.
And we're kind of like to the region of the North Slope and whatnot. So we had a fundraiser this year and to raise funds for the high school. And yeah, so we.
So what we did is we had
raised
two
money for these guys,
50-50 raffles, and we took all the proceeds from the 50-50 raffles, and we donated it towards the music program for the high school. It's not a lot of money, but anything helps, I'm sure.
It is a lot of money, trust me.
It's more the message than the money. So
It
We
is.
want to, just try and do something good for the community, because the community is good to us. We love this town, and.
I went to school here, K through 12. So.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and Trevor actually has a daughter that's in there.
That teacher too.
It looks like John was,
That's right.
he had his head sticking up like he was.
John, do you have something to say?
Well, I guess one of the questions I have is how would you like it to go into the music program? Would you like it to go into a student activity music program fund?
Like their trips to the
Or do you want it to go into the general fund to be used?
I'd like to go into the classroom,
Okay.
apply it into the
So
classroom,
we
new
can
instruments,
put that,
strings,
but I think-
reeds, whatever.
Yeah, so
No.
my thought would be is to put it in Bubba's, he has a music account. But I didn't know if it also needed to go to Davis and the EMS as well. So, but I think you said.
Says high school.
You said the high
Says
school.
the high school.
That's how
Yeah.
we advertised it, was for the Evanston
EHS
High School
music.
Okay, so,
Great.
and,
But I guess it pretty much would be at your guys' discretion. As long as
Well,
it goes
but
to
we wanna
that,
honor-
I would be
we want to honor,
happy.
because we have really 3 music programs. We've got choral, we've got strings, and we've got band. And so is it divided into thirds or whatever? So
Okay.
that,
I guess that's however, at your discretion, that would be
Okay.
great. I'm just glad that it's going to help the kids. That's
okay,
all.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
So Trevor, he said to himself.
I said to myself,
I do this event every year, guys, so if you guys have snowmobiles, it's on Valentine's weekend, sometime.
It's fine.
so
Adult
I just need to know.
So I guess, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Since you're kind of the mouthpiece, is this organization, does it require membership? Are you looking for additional members?
No, I mean, we just get together, we enjoy the winter outdoors, you know, we're like recreation guys.
So if somebody wanted to go riding with you, how would they do that?
Give me a phone call.
Yeah,
Shoot a
come on out to the shop.
Come up to the shop that's right across the street.
Be there on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Bring your stuff.
Every weekend we go out and we take all kinds of people. We take in people from Minnesota out, whatnot. I mean, we're probably gonna pull a license and get the whole guiding thing going eventually, but for now, it's just a fun thing to do, you know, and we have a little.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet people and good people.
And it's a sport that's under-recognized, in my opinion, like we live in the mountains, there's snow everywhere, and it actually is a really great time. Like, I've kept these two alive for an additional 5 years. Showing them the ropes, so, yeah, they get happy.
Sometimes we get into places we
Should not
Oh, we
be.
go places that we just love, bro, you know? You don't-
I'm old, you know, it's hard to work with these young guys. It's-
Right. Anyways, yeah, we brought a big check to kind of present you guys, and I've got the actual funds in the bag.
Okay, so
Yeah,
give them to, don't give them to anybody up here because they will not get to where it
we'll
needs to
give them
be.
to the money man over there. Will you guys stand in front
Because
of the
we get
board?
paid so much for this. So I'm going to ask you a real quick question. So can I ask a quick question on this? You know what, I know you want to go towards the music department, right? But what I was wondering is, specifically the band, can we go down the route of a scholarship through the Venture Boys? Would you rather give a scholarship to somebody going on to the music industry on the music side?
That'd be cool, actually, really, because, I mean, that's their step into their future.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm, if that's the route you want to go, right? So we can have,
Intention is.
But you know, Trevor's daughter's in the music program.
oh,
She's
she's
in the
awesome.
strings program, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
she's in the strings?
Yeah.
What does she play?
Oh, so she's a violinist.
Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah, that's so cool.
She's the only one that has like a really good violin that's handed down forever, and you can always hear it above all the rest of them. Yeah, yeah.
that was one of my reasons for wanting
Hopefully
to,
it wasn't the money that was stolen.
got an in.
Yeah.
He's also a
that is
local
awesome.
band member too.
Well, let's-
Oh, really?
Let's get the
Well,
picture.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Carries the music.
Do we stand?
I've worked in the music industry for my whole life.
You guys are welcome to come up too, or you so turn around, face that way. Hold the check out here, we'll put David on the other end. It's fine. Too short. David, you represent us.
No joking.
Yeah.
I was, pushed that boat on to him. You gotta really be in some sort of shape.
Got her?
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for letting us come. We appreciate it.
Facebook pages.
We'll see you guys next year.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, all right.
Hey, just,
Summer cake party. I don't.
just lean that giant check right there.
Yeah, just put it right there. Put
Lean
that
that
check
giant
right
check
there.
right there.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
No, they want to.
That was absolutely awesome. So I guess we can decide from there. Maybe scholarship might, you know, I don't know.
Or 3 scholarships, one for
Two.
strings, one for band, and one for choral.
$330 or whatever, so.
Yeah, whatever.
Yep, so.
We'll work on it. We'll see what the high school
we'll work on
needs.
it. Yeah. So-
See what they need.
Yep, fantastic. All right, that's our last presentation for the night. We need, well, it's the second, but it's the last. Okay, anyway. We will now move on to operational budget presentations. Curriculum K-5.
Doug, this mic is on, the other mic is not on. It's not working.
All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do in curriculum instruction, assessment, and HR. So as Dr. Ingalls gets this set up, we're excited to be here. So we'll go to the next one, Doc. So some of you were able to go to the High Reliability Schools Conference in January. And I just want to make that quick connection back to the things that we do, we tie back to that. And so the High Reliability Schools model is really our overarching school improvement model. So with that, there is the vast majority of that, right, it's taken care of by the staff, the faculty at the schools themselves. Those decisions are made there. We have reciprocal responsibility in that to help provide the resources that they need. So for example, in level 2, effective instruction in every classroom, that goes to our evaluation system, our growth system, which is the focused teacher evaluation and growth model. Guaranteed and viable curriculum, reciprocal accountability there. We provide an additional planning period for our teachers to be able to collaborate and work in their collaborative teams to be able to work on that guaranteed and viable curriculum. And then level 4, standards-based reporting, that is tied, is kind of a result of really doing well in level 3. And we'll talk about the schools that are certified in each of those areas here in just a little bit. Okay, thanks. So that focused teacher growth and evaluation model, there are 23 elements in that. There are 8 required. So the banks of the river, so to speak. There are 8 required elements, and then teachers have 2 choice elements. They get to pick 2 things that they want to work on in their professional growth as it relates to instruction. That professional development comes in lots of different shapes and forms. Sometimes they do that during their collaboration time. Quite honestly, some of the best professional development a teacher can get is sitting down and working with another teacher that teaches that same content. They learn from each other, they share their strategies. That's a super way to grow in instruction. Job embedded through instructional leaders. So a lot of times the schools will provide during their late start Mondays, other opportunities. A lot of those are teacher-led in many cases, where teachers are sharing some of their instructional strategies and practices.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
As we move, it says my name, yeah. As we move forward through the presentation, one of the things that we're really proud of here in UNT County School District Number 1 is our induction program. Becky was here earlier, and she shared a lot with the board about what happens for our teachers year 1, 2, and 3, and then beyond. And as we go to the job fairs, and we go to probably 10 job fairs throughout the course of that hiring season from February until the end of March, we ask those candidates to go and ask the districts one question: what do you do for your new teachers? And invariably, when they come back to us, they say nothing like what you're doing. And what we provide there is 3 years onboarding. Initially, they get things like, here's the insurance, here's what happens, here's how you access your email, all of that. That's early on that first year, but that's only the beginning. From there, then, Becky brings those cohorts together, year 1, 2, and 3. They draw close to one another. They learn what is effective instruction, so they go through the 23 elements, and they build that across the 3 years. We're very proud of the work that is done there. When you look at us overall, and I know she shared this with you earlier, across the United States, 40% within the first 5 years of teachers leave their profession entirely, never to return. 40%, that's 4 in 10. Line up 10 teachers, 4 of them are gone, never to return. Our district, 4%. 4%. So a tenth of what's happening across the country. When you look at it, it's a lot of it has to do with what we're doing to support them, with the leadership that we have, and we'll get on later, the consistency in our leadership. When you look at our school leaders and the work that they do, it's phenomenal. and the amount of time that they've been in working with our teachers as well as our teachers themselves, and building those learning cohorts, it's really a positive environment, and that's what we're all looking for. When you look at K-12 curriculum and accomplishments, the teachers annually review and revise ELA and writing, as well as math. They look at the essential standards, they look at proficiency skills, they look at paging guides, they look at the unit plans. Those are updated on the website every single year. We look at specials. The specials teams meet throughout the year. They work on curriculum as well, including the music, PA, media, computer science, science, and social studies. Not part of the specials block, but social studies part of the regular general classroom. So that's almost unheard of. Usually what you do is you go through a 5-year rotation. Because of the PLC process and the work we do as far as guaranteed and viable curriculum, we continue to do that on a regular basis. So we're always updating, we're always reviewing, we're always looking at how we can get better on a regular basis. So it's not just a one and done every 5 years, okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right, one of the things we're really proud of is our summer academy, and we do it at 3 levels. So really it's like opening up 3 schools for the summer for a 20-day time span. The high school, you can see down below, they do a credit recovery, and the kids who need to recover their credits, they go until, during that 20 days until they demonstrate that they've met the requirements. 6 through 8, you really look at skill gaps and the core academic content areas. This year, starting last year, we actually moved the 5th grade into the middle school, which was a really great idea, because we weren't getting as many kids in the 5th grade who were coming to the elementary side of things. They had already moved on. So we decided, let's try that. We actually, I think, had Mr. Peterson, 25?
Sounds close.
So, about 25, so, who were actually in the middle school, whereas before we were looking at maybe 10 to 15 at the most. We call that a transition bridge, and so those kids then go and it really is a transition piece for some of the kids who have the greatest need. And that's what we do there. K-4, what we're doing currently, really trying to increase what we do as far as interventions on individual kids. So we have a core piece, but then as well, we're building in very specific skill interventions based upon what those kids need individually as we begin to move forward. You can see over 400 students are served. It's a pretty good number, not just K-5, but that's 400 across K-12. Okay. PLC teams, you can see, I'll add on to that a few more of the accomplishments. They are continually developing what we call our 15-day unit plans, which are aligned to the district unit plans. They develop common formative assessments, which then they use to measure student proficiency. From there, they divide kids into intervention groups, which really are looking at what those kids need at each individual grade level. It's quite a system. I could probably spend an hour just going through our PLC process, but please stop by anytime. I'm sure that you've got PLC teams, so I'd love to have you come and sit through what they're doing in their PLC time and what they're doing around assessment. For the last year, we've had a handwriting study. We've really looked at why handwriting. Well, have you tried to read some of the writing that comes home at times?
Terrible.
And so what we did was really looked at the research. We had a study group. There were about 40 teachers who came together from across the district. Amy Barker facilitated that group. We then put together a guidance document looking at what the good research says about handwriting instruction. And then we brought in some programs. The teachers evaluated the programs themselves to see which one was evidence-based, most research-based, and met our needs. We settled upon what we call the Zahner Bloser, and we just had a training on Monday with all of our elementary teachers, gave them the opportunity to get a little bit of the program itself. It is a support for CKLA, not a supplanting. So what will happen is they'll utilize that and they'll use that program to actually lift up what they're doing in CKLA. The nice thing is, once it's taught, the expectation is that's what kids will do. It'll be consistent across all elementary schools, all teachers, and that's really a positive part. of that particular piece. One of the things that they pointed out in our training was there's some really good research that, and the connectivity between handwriting and reading itself, and the connectivity in the brain, the mapping in the brain that happens, and that's a part of that process. Again, I could probably talk on, and I promised Jaron that how much was it, Jaron? So then you look at our K-5 district essential standards, math and ELA assessment. So we give that twice a year. We give it in November and we give it in February. We really take a look at what we're doing, what we call our superhero standards, those standards that kids need the most in math and ELA across the year, and we measure it at those points. We review those with the teachers in each grade level team. They then make a determination of changes that need to be made to the assessment. It's not a secret assessment. Some districts give those assessments, and the only time you see it is when the kids get it on their desk. The teachers are involved and continually are involved building those assessments and then administering those to the kids. It's evidence, again, of our guaranteed and viable curriculum as well as the impact on instruction.
So 612 wise, a lot of the same stuff. One of the things that we're doing is making sure that we're helping students understand and see the content in ways that tests require them to do so, right? So we don't have that disconnect between what's taught in the classroom and how students are assessed, whether it's the ACT, the YTOP, whatever that external assessment might be. So in our math, our ELA, some in science are looking at those types of things. I got to tell you, I'm super excited. I'm very proud of our teachers and the work that they're doing in their collaborative teams. We talk about star reading and math. I just want to lift that up a little bit. I think Trustee Arch, you had mentioned early on, right, talking about data, wondering about the achievement data, had some questions around that. What I can tell you is that star reading and math assessment, our teachers are using that. I use that. And we literally do that at the end of each quarter, right? At the end we do it at the very beginning of the year as a benchmark. End of the first quarter, end of the second quarter, end of the third quarter. And what's cool is, so I just did 6th grade ELA, for example, at one of our schools. The star prediction was 68%. Our students ended up at 64%. So it's really pretty close in terms of, is that a decent indicator or a predictor of how our kids are going to do? So when you think about the validity and the reliability of that assessment, it's pretty high, right? So 4 percentage points off is not a significant difference. So super excited about how our teachers are using that new tool this year to really provide interventions for students based on how they're doing on those benchmark assessments.
YBuild is something we're really proud of. From pre-K all the way through 12th grade, it's a comprehensive approach to literacy. And as a district, we received right at $3.5, almost $3.6 million over the last 5 years. We've done a lot of different things with that, from letters training, which is the foundation of reading training, science of reading, I think we're at 95% of our elementary teachers, and I know at the high school there were probably content area teachers as well as ELA teachers, middle school and high school. I think another 25 to 30 teachers who have taken that training, just because they want to know what does it mean to teach a student how to read, and this really gives them that foundation as they begin to support kids in that way. We also had a lot of training from Instructional Intensity Inc. There are consultants who come in. They've been consistent over the last 7 years, but especially we've been able to utilize them more during the last 5 years of this particular grant. We're quite proud of the work that we have done, especially with pre-K. What we've been able to do with pre-K, you have to spend of the grant 15% of that on pre-K, 40% on elementary, and then 40% on secondary. And what they've done is taken the programs that we are utilizing, we're able to purchase those for them, provide them the training with the programs that we use, including the intervention programs, and then they could utilize those so that those kids who go to preschool, now it's relatively seamless as they move into kindergarten. It's been phenomenal. The amount of money spent there is close to $500,000 over the last 4.5 years. The grant runs out, unfortunately, the last day of September, And it's going to be hard to see it go. We've used it for mentors, we've used it for instructional as a leadership team to really try to provide interventions in 6 through 12 with specific interventionists that have been well-trained, as well as training across the district. So it's going to be missed. The way that we did the grant, though, was to make sure that we could sustain many of those programs. The hard part is being able to pay the mentoring side of that as well as the letter side. But we're trying to work that in and build that in with some of what we have to offer through Title IIA and some other things. But we don't have a funding cliff. So much so that we are spending the grant down. They've told us, hey, can you guys spend this, the 15-40-40 breakdown, if we give you additional money? We've already accepted an additional almost $100,000. I would venture to guess before we get to it's all said and done, because of how well we do around this and how well organized we are with that systematically, we'll probably get a little bit more as some of those other schools aren't able to spend theirs. So, Y-Built, it's been incredible, and I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do pre-K on. Federal programs, that's another part of what Mr. Rigby and I do. The consolidated grant, I call it manager, director, whatever you want to call that as well. So we handle all things federal programs. We get a lot of support from John Williams and the business office and the work that they do. We're grateful for that support. And Doug and I kind of divide up some of those federal programs, and we'll talk about each one of those. Currently, Title I Part A, which is really improving academic achievement for low-income, at-risk students. Anyone have an idea how many of our students, Uintah County School District number 1, are free and reduced?
I would say 40 to 50%.
40 to 50? 40? 58%.
Wow.
So when you look along I-80, we are the highest, in fact, the only schools that I can find that are higher are the reservation schools as far as our free and reduced numbers. So the work that we do to meet the needs of our low-income, at-risk students, I think is phenomenal. And that hat goes off to the teachers, to the principals, to the leadership that is provided around that. But that's Title I Part A. Title III is our ELA, Language Acquisition Program. We have, you can see we get $16,000, quite a bit different than what we get for our Title I. The problem with Title III, trying to be consistent with that spending, one year they may give you $10,000, the next year they might give you $25,000. So you can't be consistent with what you're spending those dollars on because it's shifting, it's a moving target. And so we try to utilize it for training. Mr. Willis, I see he's in the audience here, and they've used it to go to the WIDA conference every year. And how has that been?
Fantastic.
So,
with other teachers all over the country.
thank you. And they meet twice, do you meet every Monday or?
Almost every Monday.
Almost every Monday. And they build this in as far as professional development, what we're doing with our English language or our ELL plan for the district, upgrading that, constantly coming up with ways and means in which we can better serve our ELL population and try to build that in. So that's Title III.
So 2 of them that I'm responsible for, Title IIA is our teacher instructional improvement grant. Basically, those monies are set aside for teacher professional development. Big shift 9 years ago when we came into these positions. That money basically goes to our schools for our teachers to decide what they want to go to. And so we don't dictate what type of professional development teachers have to partake in. The schools, we divide that money up. We pull out about $100,000 into what we call the district pool. The rest of that money is distributed to the schools based on the school population. And so then teachers can then go to their principal as collaborative teams and say, hey, we'd like to go. So for example, our science teachers at Evanston High School, all of them went to the National Science Teachers Association conference in
Philadelphia.
Thank you. In March, I believe it was. Okay. So that's something they wanted to do, right? We use Title IIA dollars to do that. If, for example, a school runs out of funds, Horizon gets like $5. So they can apply to the district pool if they have teachers that want to go to a particular conference. Sometimes schools do run out of funds, that's why we do the holdback for unexpected professional development opportunities. So, and then Perkins, oh, I love Perkins. Perkins is our CTE grant. We actually got our allocation letter this morning. I don't know if you saw that or not, boss, but we got about $2,000 more in our allocation for this coming year. It's about $78,556.88 is what we're getting for next year. We use those funds to upgrade our equipment in our CTE programs. So, for example, Michael Welling has asked for upgraded computers for the AutoCAD program in the drafting room. That's going to be probably somewhere around anywhere from $45,000 to $60,000. So Perkins would be able to pay for those funds. I have to mention it because it's tied to CTE, the new legislation that came out this year. We are now line iteming money for CTE. That's a new state statute. They didn't give us more money.
No.
But we now have to line item money for CTE. And I say that because I talked about the $60,000 computer upgrade for one program. CTE at Evanston High School will get approximately $100,000 that'll be line itemed into the EHS budget to support CTE programs. Some of that will be absorbed into student fees, which we're going to reduce the student fees, which is part of that legislation. We don't want kids to have barriers to being in CTE classes because of the fees associated with supplies and materials that you guys know there's a lot of consumables in CTE classes. So that's what the fees have typically been for.
Okay.
So we combine. So Matt's not here, and so this is a great time for me to talk about how much I love spending Matt's money. So between Title 6B, which is a special education grant, federal grant, and Title 2A, we spend approximately $750,000 a year in professional development for our staff. And it's a significant amount of money. That's people coming into the district, that's our teachers leaving the district to go receive professional development in other places. So our investment in our people is significant.
Okay, the human capital side of this, as you know, for K-5, I am over HR, and we kind of, as things come in from other departments, we kind of tag team, Doug and I, with each of those departments, depending maybe on who's available or maybe whose expertise they're seeking at that time. And Doug is over the 612. We want to thank our department exists. Christine Hayduck she is the kind of the primary. We appreciate all the work that Christine does. She does a really nice job of helping to keep us above board. When people come in from anything from getting their fingerprints to wanting to find out how to become a substitute teacher to answering questions for employees about recertification, all of those things and more are that Christine does. If you look at our employees certified, we have 294 certified employees. We have 300 support for a total of 594 employees. Largest employer in the county, and we're quite proud of the work that we do there. When you look at average number of years, this is very telling. When you look at our certified staff, you're 12.9 years. Support staff is 8.1, and sometimes we think, that's kind of a revolving door at times, but that's a pretty good track record to have our support staff average at 8 years.
Do you happen to have a national average to contrast that against?
That's a good question. I don't have that. I would venture to guess it's much lower. I can tell you what an average principal is about 3.2 years in their position. Average superintendent is 1.75. So when you look at where we are, as you look at administration, that's 18.6 years. cumulative as you look.
Did you say
across that.
superintendents are typically 1-point-something years?
1.75.
Does that mean our superintendent is not smart enough to move on?
Exactly. We're not making any comments about the boss. So, all right, here we go. The McGrath training system, this is something we do every year for all staff, and then we do for new staff on the alternating years. This really looks at Title IX. It's discrimination, bullying, intimidation. Mr. Williams and I are trained in the McGrath response system. It's a great system. Starting from the complaint all the way through the investigation process. And we've used it, I'll just leave it at that. Because sometimes it's more often than maybe we would like. But it's available, and we try to train our principals and directors in that as well, so that they have a really good understanding how to begin and work through those, and we're always there to support them in those investigations. So that's the McGrath system. When you look at the Succeed with TrueSpeak, it's something that we provided for our administrators and directors, all our new principals as well. It's, as it says, a framework for excellent communication skills and productive reasoning. So it's really trying to look at how do we uplift our staff, how do we communicate better. Very systematic approach, making sure that we're always looking at the facts, we're always looking at the impact of things, we're looking at the context of what is going on, and then really looking at how do we take that action step or really that kickoff. So that's the McGrath system itself.
Oh, you're doing great.
Job descriptions and compensation. So over the last 2 years, we have written job descriptions for all 75 of our current positions, and we have a process in place to continue to do that. When we do that, we seek input from the people who are in those positions, so that it isn't just, hey, here's it's handed to you. We get that particular information from them, and then we build those job descriptions from there. From that, through the work of, again, those of us at the district office level and Mr. Williams, especially John, put together a market analysis. It's an incredible analysis of where we are in our surrounding districts as well as across the state. So he took the information from the WDE for the variety of positions that are available. It was all redacted, but he had the amounts and was able to do that market analysis. In a nutshell, that's basically what happened. We then look at the implementation this year of the support staff salary schedule that was approved last year, the 24-25 school year. And again, the goal is for us to be at market, and that's what we're striving to do. So.
Okay. All right, so obviously we want to thank several people. Sherry does a great job in supporting our departments as well. So part of the HRS model is that we collect quick data. We have indicators, or what in business they call them KPIs, key performance indicators. Those are our HRS indicators. So that's how we continue to monitor the health of the organization, monitor the health of each one of those indicators. And so we really, it's our goal to create a culture of excellence in our schools, right? Whether that's kindergarten through 12th grade. And what does that culture of excellence really mean? What does that mean for our students? What does that mean for our staff? What does that mean for us? And so creating that culture, living that culture is super important to us, and we want to continue to work with all of our folks to realize that goal.
And as you look, we're really proud this year, those who were at the HRS conference, all of our secondary schools received their GVC level 3. Horizon will finish that this next fall. All of our elementary schools received the level 4 certification for the standards reference reporting. So an important accomplishment, and those who have been to that conference recognize the work that it takes to get to that particular level. So we're really proud of the work that our leaders have done, the work that our teachers have done in building that process, because it isn't the leader sitting in the office doing all of that. It's done school-wide. It's done with our stakeholders, from the parents to the students to the teachers to the leadership that's provided. Anything you want to add?
Nope, we're good there.
Moving forward, again, we're looking at those ELA standards, and this summer in June, first week of June. We set those dates in the fall of the year so that people can put it on their calendar. Obviously, teachers aren't under contract at that time. We try to get representation from each grade level and each school to be at those particular meetings. Generally, we have 50 to 70 people who are there and part of that process. We continue to align our prioritized standards to the math, science, fine arts, and PE and health, and always getting better, trying to get better with those. Update curriculum annually. This summer, we have a variety of professional development opportunities from math to ELA, writing interventions, certified and instructional aids, and for the first time, we are proudly to announce visual arts training for our STEAM, opened up to all of our elementary teachers, and it will be conducted by Robin Hingesteg, and she's excited about it, and I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm not a great artist, but I'll sit down in that. And so what we asked her to do is really look at the elements of art and then give them an opportunity to get their hands on and really start to understand that in a better way so that we can begin to lift that up. We're also, Doug's going to do some work around utilizing AI, big topic in education right now, and then we do a lot with assessments.
You know, in K or 6-12, the state has revised some of their priority standards, math, for example, PE, health, fine arts. So our teachers are going to be working on making sure that we're aligned. We've got another year to do that, but we'll spend a little bit of time this summer and then this next school year putting that together. So you go to this last slide. Oh, there's still more.
And as we continue to move on, we have our human capital, which is the frontline implementation. This next year, we'll also be doing, it's the attendance, and it's all computerized now, as well as substitutes. And so that'll be something that we'll be rolling out in the fall. The business office has been really instrumental in moving that work forward. We have 2 schools who are piloting that, Clark Elementary and DMS, to see how that's going this spring, to kind of work out some of the trouble spots, and we talked about it this afternoon. It seems to be going as well as we might expect at this point in time, and then moving it to the larger staff with training in the fall. Continued emphasis on professional development, analyzing the effectiveness of our PLCs and the MTSS process is really meeting the needs of all kids in the core, Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for those kids who need those, and then work-based learning connected to our students.
With our secondary school, our high schools, Horizon and EHS, really trying to get that opportunity for students to get out into the workplace and experience what that's really like to have a job in a particular field. Oftentimes it helps them decide, yeah, that's something I really love and I want to continue, or wow, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I'm going to change directions. And so giving them that opportunity before they start paying for school, whether that's four-year college or a trade school, giving them some opportunities to experience real life work experiences is our goal, to try to get as many of those kids, many kids as possible, that experience.
Okay, and a final shout out to Amy. We neglected to mention, she's our CNI administrative assistant, does an incredible job, and if you can only imagine all the things that you got to look at here other than HR, she's got her hand in almost every one of those pies. Has done an incredible job with it, and I know our principals really appreciate all they get from support that they get from her as well. And a shout out to Clark Elementary today. Today I had the privilege of being at Clark Elementary at 1:30, and they had Superintendent Dagenfelter on. She was a live feed. I don't know what was going on with her live feed. Evidently she must not have had really good internet, but the audio came through. Kimber and her school were recognized as one of 2 schools in the state of Wyoming that met the Wyoming Governor's Reading Challenge from last summer, and then challenged the kids again to do that. It was really awesome to watch a couple of those kids get up and talk about reading and giving them the opportunity to kind of motivate some of the other kids. 42 students from the school participated with an average of 2,000 minutes per student in reading over the summer. And so we're quite proud of that. Had a great opportunity to interact with one of the people, Dr. Ladd from the WDE, who was here as well, to congratulate Clark Elementary. So, great. Kimber and Clark Elementary, congratulations.
Awesome.
So Mr. Kohler's not here, he's not back there, is he? Okay, so Mr. Kohler's not here, he wanted me to thank Colby for doing such a great job representing Evanston High School, not only as the student body president, but also representing the school here with the board. So I want to appreciate, share appreciation for you and what you've done at Evanston High School. Okay, so thank you for that. I also want to thank Stormy Dolezal for her work at Davis Middle School and Evanston Middle School. Stormy's accepted a position in another Uintah County School District. She's going to be the principal at Mountain View High School. Known Stormy a long time. I appreciate everything she's done while a teacher at the high school. As a player for me in basketball, I just can't say enough about the great things that Stormy's done for us and for our school district. So I want to make sure and thank her for, I think she said she's been here 13 years or so. So really going to miss Stormy.
I'm sad to see you go.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
Apparently you weren't here when I had the discussion with Scott Ehlers and wearing purple.
Just as a side note,
don't wear your purple.
Stormy, I was the assistant principal, first administrative job, Mountain View High School, 5 years. And it's a great place to be. In fact, when you get over there, look on the wall, you'll probably see me somewhere. And I wore purple for a long time. Still got purple.
Any questions for us?
I have one question.
Yes.
So for the summer academy and the credit recovery, I'm just curious, 20 days doesn't seem like enough for a kid to recover credit.
Yeah, it's not the entire credit. No.
Okay, so explain to me how that
works. It's a course that they've already taken, and a course that they did not pass. And so that's the beauty of being now in a standards-based teaching and learning environment. So that student may have demonstrated proficiency on several standards, but not enough standards to actually get to where they could pass the class. And so it's a very targeted standards-based approach where students, they have, okay, let's say it's Algebra 1. Here are the specific standards that you have not yet demonstrated proficiency on. They work with their teacher, they get a lot of one-on-one attention, and they work on those particular standards until they've either demonstrated all of them or enough of them to be able to earn credit for that particular class.
And if they haven't totally met that at the end of those 20 days, then they know, here's what I have to continue.
So they don't start at zero.
Yeah, correct. It's not like you're doing a whole class.
Right, I figured it was, that they hadn't done something, but what prevents a kid from during the school year just not, I call it butting off, but not applying themselves and doing the work and saying, oh, I can recover that credit in 20 days during
There's no
summer school.
guarantee you're gonna get it recovered in those 20 days.
And it's summer school. Who wants summer school?
Well, I know, but I have heard some kids say, oh, I can go to summer school for 4 weeks and get credit for that class.
I wish I could say that doesn't happen, but I know it does.
And there's limited number of credits they can recover.
Yeah, it's good. So if you think about, if a student has, and I can't remember what the percentage breakdown is, it used to be 55%. If they had below 55%, they could only take one class in summer school. So they were doing 5 hours of one class for 20 days.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so they're looking at 100 hours. In a typical school year, you're at 175. So they're almost doing a full semester's worth of work
that makes me feel a
in that 20
little
days of
better.
summer. It's not they're coming in for an hour, right?
Okay.
They're there for the entire time working on that one class. If they were close in a couple of, you can take up to two.
Okay,
If you
so
were
it's
close,
based on
right, yeah, if you were
what they
between a
do.
55 and a 70, then you might be able to work on 2 different classes.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank
Yep.
you.
Good question, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ingalls, for your work on getting the visual arts professional development training this
Yeah,
summer.
you're very welcome. Thank you for lifting that up and the conversations that we've had. We did also contact the Art Education University. They have some really great things, but like all really great things, it's a little spendy, but something that we can look at as we strive to move forward with some professional development and other things. But
Well, yeah, it's great Robin Hicks that volunteered or accepted the assignment to offer this training.
with enthusiasm, so I was
Yeah.
really grateful for that.
Definitely. And I'm really excited too to hear about more work-based learning opportunities and expanding those programs. I think, yeah, we've seen from Horizons programs how valuable it is to get the kids out in the community, and even more so to bring.
We have some great people, even very close by, that have taken on students and done a fantastic job with them.
So my question is, on that last slide, analyze the effectiveness of our PLCs. What exactly does that look like? How do we do that?
So our principals do that on a regular basis. They attend those PLCs. They look to see some of the basic things. Do they have an agenda? Are they looking at data? Is data utilized to then make decisions for kids and their learning? Shared planning and lesson planning. Really, it's answering those 4 questions. And so they're making that determination of what do kids need to know and be able to do. They're really looking at how they're going to assess whether they met that. They're then going to look at what happens if we don't, and they have those conversations. Okay, those kids didn't meet it. Now what do we do with those kids? And then what do we do with the kids who did meet that? So the principals spend a lot of time really looking in those meetings and looking at those agendas. As well, we're talking about, are there things that we can do to relift some of those important things with PLCs this next coming year.
And is there a feedback loop where, for suggestions from teachers of, I'd rather focus on this section, or I want more support in this area, or I want more cross collaboration between these schools?
So, yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility. So, for example, our music teachers, 6, 12, had an opportunity to spend a day with a trainer. And they came to our principals and said, hey, in our late start Mondays, could we have at least one Monday a month where we actually meet 6 through 12 music? And so our principals have built that into the schedule for them to do so.
And then, one thing I've noticed from working in organizations is it's very easy to add things that we want to do and accomplish, and very rarely do we ever take away. So do we have any mechanisms built in on reducing burdens on teachers in terms of like, here's all the things we want you to measure or look at or do? Do we ever take things away?
So that's a really great question, and really the things that we look at are things that have been identified as needs based upon the programs that we have. So actually they're supporting, again, not supplanting. So for example, the handwriting piece is something that you integrate and build in. It's going to take 10 to 15 minutes to do that and to build that in, but it's going to enhance what they're doing already and building on that. And the hope is that it's going to be a benefit. But we actually look at our framework, which is the High Reliability Schools framework, and the things that we build in actually are aligned with that, really looking at our guaranteed and viable curriculum and trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs. The hard thing is that the state then says, okay, now we're redoing standards, now you get to do this, and trying to analyze those and build that in, which are things that are outside of our control. But I can't think of too many things that we have said, all right, this year we're now going to do something different and we're going to implement this. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Do we ever? Is there a graduation point from High Reliability or Monsanto?
You're continually recertifying.
Yeah. And so the answer to that is no, because the state requires, it's state statute, that we are engaged in continuous school improvement. Our framework to do that is High Reliability Schools. And the reason that we chose that was that it's high reliability schools, meaning that schools get to determine what it is they're going to do to meet these specific indicators, right? So what it does, and I had a slide in there and I took it out, but there's the way school improvement efforts are typically done is there's a whole bunch of different arrows pointing in all sorts of different directions, right? Oh, we're going to do this. I actually have a slide that says, ooh, shiny, because that's what we sometimes do. Oh, well, that looks great. That looks great. Let's try this. Let's try that. All that HRS does is says these are the indicators of effective schools over 50 plus years of research. How each school goes about meeting those is up to that individual school, their staff, their guiding coalitions. We don't dictate how each school meets those indicators. we provide the banks of the river. The banks of the river are, we have to engage in continuous school improvement. HRS is the framework that we use to do that. How you do that, how you meet those indicators at your respective schools is up to you as a school, because each school has different needs. EMS and DMS have different student populations. Clark and UME, maybe different populations, right? So we at the district level don't dictate what your professional development, what your school improvement efforts need to be. They just have to be aligned within this specific framework.
Great. Any other question? No. That was a good question. Thank you. I'm glad that you asked that. Because it's something that we're very cognizant of, having lived in other systems where all of a sudden it's like the flavor of the month. And hey, we're going to do something new now. And we've really been cognizant of that and tried to hold that down.
We used to do that. What's the flavor of the month?
Yeah, exactly, right? That's the ooh shiny effect.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but thank you. Other questions?
Quick overview of, and maybe comments on how we did with our white-top testing compared to the rest of the state.
White-top testing went well. We always have some areas that are really high, some areas that may not be where we wanted them to be, but overall, on the average across, as I looked at them, we are above state you'll get the full report in almost every area.
It just closed on Friday.
Okay, all right.
So the new
that's
data that we can actually use to compare us against the state just became available on Monday.
Okay.
And so I haven't honestly had a chance to do, I know where we are except for 7th grade ELA and 9th grade ELA because they have the writing piece and that we won't get that until for another couple of months.
Okay.
So those that don't have writing, I know where we are, but I haven't looked at where we are compared to the state.
And so I think we feel pretty good talking with the principals and spending time. I think we feel pretty good about how our kids did.
Okay.
Great.
There's some areas that have made incredible gains.
And there's some we need to work on.
Yeah.
True.
No, I know, and it's going to be like that, right? It's just.
Thank you again for your time. I know that there's a lot of information all at one time, but...
and I bet on the under, so...
I know, I'm trying to drag her out.
Yeah, we know that.
And you're not even going to win anything.
Not
I
anybody.
understand that.
I'm not, yeah.
Respect.
I'm only halfway through the agenda.
No, you don't.
Yeah, but I control the rest.
Yeah,
so.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to our discussion items. Mr. Thomas.
Madam Chair.
Done so well for how many years?
That's what you get for pushing me.
That's right.
That's why superintendents only last 1.7 years. Chairman Peterson, members of the board, we've been working aggressively on the budget. It is an interesting task. John makes it look easy. It's not as easy as he makes it, but we spent time today and reviewed every employee and where they're placed and making sure the openings that we have are accurately accounted for. Budgeting in education makes no sense. You couldn't run a business the way we have to budget schools. So we budget on guesses, and then we find out after the budget is approved how well we guessed. So we are conservative, there's no doubt. And that's, I think, what we're reflective of the community and reflective of what we have to be. So just a couple things about the budget, where we are. John will present a budget message to you once we finish negotiations, because that's a big part of the budget message and how all that goes together. There is a copy of where he's at this point, if you want to read through that as interesting reading for the night. John does a great job with that budget message. Just a couple things that are new that I would like to point out. We did get our renewal from Aetna. I don't know if it's bad news or good news. I guess it's always bad news if you get an increase. This is where we are, kind of an interesting, we received an 11% increase. Right now, we have a 98% claims to premiums ratio, which is really a good 14% above where we need to be. For the last 12 months, we've averaged 97% claims to premium ratio, which is not good. I guess if you try to be positive with that, it means that our insurance is helping people, and the claims have been high. An 11% increase represents this. Our current monthly total amount is $678,000 a month that we pay for insurance. An increase is $753,000 a month. That's a total payment for health insurance of $9,442,588. That is split roughly 83%, 17% with our employees. That's changed over the years. We have averaged a 9% renewal rate for the last 12 years. The interesting thing about that represents 3 different insurance companies. So the trend has been pretty steady. And again, that's one of the major reasons why we sued the state, is that is not sustainable. And it is extremely frustrating when you look at those costs. What that represents is, if you just kind of ballpark it, it's negotiated that the district picks up 50% and the employees pick up 50%. So that's roughly $300,000 to $400,000 that the district has to pick up, and $400,000 that the employees have to pick up, either through premium increases or benefit changes. Aetna did offer us 4 benefit changes that equal just under, I think, right at 11, 12%. We can reduce it 2.5%, I think, from 11 to 8.5, if we take those benefit changes. If you look historically, we've had 35 benefit changes in the last 12 years. Not all those years have we increased premiums. One of those years we received a reduction. But overall, that is how we've been able to keep our insurance costs even somewhat manageable, is through benefit changes and that 50-50 split. So that is, I guess if you look at where we are, just based on the numbers, national trend is between 10 and 14% nationally. When you look at our costs to premium ratio, that puts us in 14 to 16% above that 80% target. Our rate came in at 25%. Mr. Hoffman was able to negotiate, of course, down to 14%. We used knowledge that we obtained from a consultant that there was rebates given to Aetna, which of course they wouldn't have told us about, of roughly $300,000. That knowledge brought it down to 11%. What we requested is a renewal of the current program and a renewal of a fully self-funded program. We haven't received that yet. When we get that, we'll use that to study what it means to go self-funded starting in September next year. With a committee, hopefully similar committee to what we have now in terms of representatives, because there's some education involved in all that with those facilitators. But that's what we'll do. Part of the negotiations is really looking at that $700,000 increase to the district's budget. Because as we talked last month, we roughly received $1.6 million in new money. If you take 15% for operation, that's $1.3 million available for increases, and we just got a bill for $700,000. So I can promise you we'll be creative, and if we err, we'll err on the side of our employees. So we'll talk about negotiations a little bit later, but that's what our goal will be. So, any questions about that part of the budget? That's a big part of our budget. $9 million out of a $52 million budget is significant, so we had to wait for that. The other thing that you have a copy of is proposed increases on our food service, and if you look at them, you'll see that their increases are really low. They're not significant. Needed, yes, but I think very reasonable. I appreciate the work that Sheila's done with food service. You guys, we've talked about this, and another reason why we sued the state is we do have to make a transfer to food service annually. And Sheila's done some things this year with her budget to reduce that transfer. She cut some staff, which is the number one driver of any budget, which we appreciate. And then one way is to look at meal prices and to keep it a reasonable increase. So that will be a part of the budget approval in July, is to approve those new numbers. So we'll give you a month to look at it. Again, we have another budget review next month if you have questions about those rates. We'll know more in terms of how it all impacts the budget with those new dollar figures. So I've gone over the three things. The budget message is there, incomplete, because we haven't had negotiations yet. John, you think Friday they'll get the budget message, next Monday? Where are you at?
I'm going to try to have it done by the 15th.
Okay. And so you'll be able to go through that. It's an interesting thing. It's required of us, but it's not approved by the board. So it's a narrative on how we're preparing the budget, which is approved 2 months later.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Crazy.
So any questions about the budget update? Okay, next item is meet and confer. That is tomorrow at 5:30. We have a dinner with EEA. And then 6, we began the meet and confer process. Trustee Arch has volunteered. I'd love to get one more. We can have up to 4. It's really at your, John, you'd like to do that?
6 tomorrow.
Yep, 5:30. Come for
Where
dinner. You can be there at 6.
Where at?
Right here.
Okay.
Right here.
I'll be here.
Anyone else? Yes.
Maybe.
Okay.
I've got to check my schedule.
Okay. Okay, like I said, if 2 come, we'll have to turn one of you away, but if another one wants to come, we're good. Okay? I've always appreciated how we've done meet and confer, and I do think we put the needs of our employees first, so that's exciting. That's all I have for meet and confer, unless you guys have some questions about the process. Again, what we've kind of agreed is those representatives and the district's representatives negotiate in good faith. You are the representatives to the board, so if it gets too out of whack, you can blame those two. Okay, that's all I had with that. Okay, next thing, is it assembly? Is that how you say that?
Yes.
Assembly transition from board docs. We're going to keep this really short and sweet. Jaren. Mr. Dennis.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board. Many of you know you use board docs every day. We've been using board docs now for 18 years. They've made a transition and sold. With that acquisition, there's been some changes that have happened. Sherry and I have spent some time visiting with some other districts who did the transition, and it wasn't pleasant news. At the same time, we reached out to the Wyoming School Boards Association to kind of see where they were moving. They couldn't tell us at that time, but they have now made the announcement that they are transitioning from board docs, which is Diligent, to Assembly, which was a company that we had looked at. After looking at it, talking briefly with Superintendent Thomas, we feel that this would be a great transition for us at this time to make that transition to Assembly. It's going to look a little bit different for you as board members, but we'll go through that process so that you feel comfortable with it. In essence, it'll do the same thing that Board Docs is doing with some more features, kind of part of that package. So that's kind of the 60,000 foot view. I know there's some more information that's presented in your board packet with that. I guess my question to you is, do you have questions about this transition or the change?
Jaren, if I may, there's 2 things that I think are vital that we were able to do with Assembly that we need to do. One is to maintain all the records of all the meetings in the past. That is a really neat tool. So that's part of this process. That'll all be put into their documents, and we'll have an archive of our past meetings. And the second part is the ability for us in terms of policy development. There's there's a tool in there that'll allow Jeff and I to communicate probably quicker through that transition and avoid some of the issues that doing that with 2 different individuals creates, and also you guys have access to that process too. So there's a ton of features, but those 2 I think are the most critical that we needed to find in a new system. It does cost more money, surprise, surprise, but there's no other there's no other options but to spend more money. Even if we went with the other program, this just seems to be a better program, and supported by the state too. We got a little cut in price because they're supporting it too. Not much.
Building on that policy, the other nice thing with the Wyoming moving into this, any policies that Brian Farmer puts together, we will not have access through Assembly to that, and so there won't be copy, paste, what's that transition? We can actually just bring that right down. Superintendent Thomas, our attorney, Mr. Phillips, can then take that and begin a quicker assimilation with that, which is really, really nice. And access to not only everything that perhaps is going on in the state of Wyoming, but across the nation, anybody who's using Assembly, you're able to look at those policies and compare them to the policy that you're trying to do, which can be really, really beneficial. So,
Do we know when we'd be live with that?
so if approved tonight, Superintendent Thomas will sign that either today or tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We'll then begin the process, probably starting next week, where they will start to build our Assembly site, and then it'll be a lot of training, unfortunately, with Sherry. And when she's comfortable, we'll make that transition. So in the meantime, we'll probably parallel both Assembly and Board Docs. When Sherry gives the thumbs up, we'll do a training with you guys, probably have you guys come in during your executive session. We'll get you onto the new site, show you kind of how to transition, what that looks like, and then we'll be ready to go live. One thing that I really like from the board side is right now when you open an attachment, it pulls it outside of Board Docs and brings it up on another. And sometimes you get lost and you got 5 or 6 attachments going on. Everything, all the attachments are within Assembly, and so you're not leaving Assembly, everything stays in, which can be really, really nice. So you're not like, oh, I was just on this attachment, now where do I go back? Everything stays within that framework. Other questions? If you do have any questions on it, please let us know. We think we're going to make this as smooth a transition as we possibly can. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Sherry.
Next item is a district climate survey. Just wanted tonight to let you know we are going to do that again. I think this is our 7th or 8th year to use a very similar survey. Really pretty straightforward, and you guys see the results usually in July every year. Bottom line, I think the most important part is climate. How do you feel about the board? How you feel about it, the superintendent? How you feel about district assistants? And then how do you feel about the district in general? And it has an opportunity for them to provide us feedback. What's the district doing right and what's the district doing wrong? Every year we've used that as an administrative team. It's also, we bring it forward in our retreat and talk about the commonalities that we see. And so it's part of, I think, our school improvement process, strategic plan. Just let you know we are going to do it again. The only thing that's disappointing is we don't get a much turnout as we'd like. It's typically 200 individuals out of 600.
Have we ever looked at hiring an outside firm to do like a truly anonymous survey?
We've done that before.
How long ago?
Probably 2016, 2017, when we had a parent group demand it. This is a result of that. The feedback we got from that survey wasn't worth the money we spent on it. So this is truly anonymous. They don't have to leave an email address. There's no way to track who it is. They do indicate some demographics, support staff, certified staff, administration, which building, only because a building may have a specific need. But there's no way for me to track who provides it. So it is truly anonymous. It doesn't matter who provides the survey, you're going to have individuals that believe that they're going to find out who and they just won't say anything. So that's unfortunate. It's simple, it's quick. I just don't think that's something we want to spend money on. Those that have issues, get on the survey and tell us. I think it's more silence is acceptance than it is, I'm just not going to say anything bad about the district. So, but we've tried those. I would say, in terms of staff satisfaction, they're just too cumbersome. They always try to include too much. So I'm up to change, but like I said, it's nice to be able to compare one year to the next, to the next, to the next, and see exactly the same results, so.
Well, and like you said, it was a waste of money.
And
We did that.
How much money are we talking about?
I think it was either 2,500, I think it wasn't a lot, but we also went
But
through
we didn't get
EEA
that much feedback.
one year and had, WEA, not EEA, because EEA wanted WEA to provide the survey, so we used the survey they had. It's roughly, we get better results on our survey than we got from those surveys we paid for. We used one out of Utah State that I really liked as a principle, but we didn't see the participation. People thought it was too long. So our 10 questions goes pretty quick. So, I don't know, if we thought there were climate issues great enough, maybe we need to go to something more professionally done. But our ability to compare what's happened over the last 7 years, I think, is pretty valuable too. So, kind of up to the board in that, but that's why I brought it forward today, is we're going to do this again.
We just did a survey in my work, and the leadership team was tempted to try and figure out who said what things. And so I think having that distance of this is administered by a separate agency, we just get the raw data, could help build some of that trust.
Well, it is anonymous. I mean, like you said, we don't know who's submitting what. There's no way to track it. So.
And we've never tried. I mean, there are a couple times I thought about it, but we've never tried it. Because more than anything else, not because I'd be angry, is because I really want to explain what we are doing, that somehow we missed that individual, not because there was any kind of thing punitive, but anyway. So some of those points that you wonder, man, we've got a lot of people thinking this, I always provide in my opening statement to clarify those issues at the beginning of the year. I get 30 minutes with the entire staff, and that's where some of that stuff comes from. That's all I had with that. Ready for the next?
Yep.
The next is some policy development, and this is going to be really quick. There are some policies that we have to get into. The number one is policy rule CKA. We have to begin the rulemaking process again with CKA because of the new law supersedes our present rule. So Jeff and I will be working on a notice to modify Rule CKA. What's out there now, the buzz in the state, is concerns most districts. They're concerned about their employees carrying weapons, and they want to do something either to control that, manage that, prevent that. We've done this for 6 years now. We're not worried about that aspect. We're very worried that anyone that has a concealed carry permit can bring weapons into our schools and activities. But our modification of CKA will just to match the expectations of the law and to support our employees. What I'm talking about is, if we have an employee that wants to concealed carry, we want to embrace that. We'll provide them the best training. We'll pay for their ammunition. We'll buy them a lockbox. We'll make sure that local law enforcement works with them. Because that's the biggest thing to me, is law enforcement won't know who's carrying in your schools. But that's kind of what we want, that I see the benefit of this. I've gone back and forth with that, and I just think that's probably the most proactive way to do it. But again, you guys know the rulemaking process. We put a notice out there, 45-day comment period, then we have to have a hearing, and then we have to listen to those who support it, those who are against it, then the board has to respond to those, and it'll take 6 months. That will give us time, if we start in June with the notice, to see what else is happening in the state, because this has already changed. I have a draft policy from Wyoming School Boards. That has changed, because the way the rule was interpreted, the law was interpreted, was too restrictive. Now it's more open. And I've also seen that there are things that we can do that originally they said we couldn't do. So we'll kind of learn from others this time, instead of being the one out front riding the horse in charge. So it's amazing how many districts contacted me and said, how did you do it? And it's because they're afraid of their own employees carrying, and which of their employees are carrying. interesting situation.
That was my question. I mean, can we, because of the new law, require to have our teachers or support staff or anybody disclose whether they're concealed carrying or not? I mean, can we have a teacher come into our school and has a concealed carry license and has a weapon on him? Do we have the right and authority to stop and question everybody that comes into our school?
No.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, no, but I think we have the right to say, if you're going to carry as an employee, please inform us and we'll support you. Do they have to?
But you can't, that's what I'm saying, you can't get 100%.
No, that's why we have to change our rule CKA, because right now, if you want to carry, you have to do these
Yes.
things. So we have to modify it.
We can
But
do it for our own employees, but for no one else.
But again, we've lived this. We know you're not going to get a rush of employees that decide to conceal carry.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, as we go down the road of redoing CKA, I mean, are we going to be in conflict with the new law, right? That's what.
No, that's what we're trying to do, is put it in. We are going to have, I bet, it'll be interesting to watch because of the opposition we had before and the support we had before. There's possibility that some of that may switch, because there are individuals that are going to say, we want nothing for your employees, just let them carry. Well, we're going to go beyond that, and there may be some that say, no, that needs to be more restrictive, that in the past, we're saying not at all.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting
That's what I was just thinking, the people that opposed it originally might be
supportive of it now. Yeah.
The original statute that we used to adopt CKA is still there.
Yeah, 21-3-132.
Authorizes us as a district to address how our employees, volunteers, so on and so forth, conceal carry.
And frankly, some of the stuff we put in CKA, because we were the guinea pigs, we wouldn't want that even now if it continued. We'd want to modify it. Some of the things were just too restrictive. The idea that you had to carry your weapon every day, or you had to that's something we don't need, yeah. So those are changes that we'll see, but it'll start slow, like I say, with the notice that we're going to begin the process, 45-day comment period. So we have roughly until September before we really get into it, but we'll look at draft policies throughout the state, and I'm really kind of interested to see how it goes throughout the state.
So when does that policy go into effect?
July 1.
July 1,
Yeah,
like
so-
all of them, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's
If the district doesn't do anything, then the teachers can conceal carry without restriction.
Yep. And I think we'd be in violation of the current law with our policy. Okay, the next one, let me see if I can find it, is an interesting one. This is because of Senate File 62, SEA 53, Chapter 101 was approved. The title of the draft policy from Wyoming School Boards is Sex Designated Facilities. The bottom line with this is, we have to identify our facilities as male or female only. Any cohabitation, like on a away trip, has to be male and female only. In other words, what the law does is define exactly what we've done for years. It does allow accommodations, which, again, we've done that forever. Accommodations to the law, typically, we have single-use restrooms, would be in the office if an individual doesn't want to be in a locker room or restroom of their own gender at birth. They can use a single-use restroom. You'll see more and more of those restrooms throughout schools, but we don't have the ability. The other one, what's the other one?
Virtual education.
But this is stuff we've done all along. I think the part I like is we can get past the issue of what do you do with someone who identifies as another gender and wants to compete on an athletic team or a sports team. And is it a reasonable accommodation to give them their own room? No.
No.
Because there's no supervision in that room. So that helps us where we kind of got fuzzy a couple times. We were able to accommodate, but now it's pretty straightforward. It's the law. Interesting, I'm going to see if I can find a policy that doesn't have sex designated facilities, but that's what the policy for Wyoming School Boards came. So we'll be working on that. First reading will be next month, okay? So if you guys come across any that are better than that, let me know. The next policy that will begin next month, I don't know if I have it here. Oh, this one really wasn't by statute, but just in preparation. One of the things that we have the ability to do that we don't do is on days when schools are closed, to go virtual. So if we have a snow day, we can go virtual that day and count that day as a day of school. So there's some preparation that we have to do to make sure that's happening. One of them is we have to put a policy in place. So we'll put a policy in place that will allow us to do that. The other thing is preparation from our schools on how to do that. But with Canvas, computers, may take some prep work, but it's something that we would like to do. You guys realize that when we try to make up a snow day, it's probably the most ineffective learning experience ever. So we do still have designated makeup days in our calendar, which would be ridiculous. They're Monday and Tuesday of after school is out. I don't know how many kids would even show up. There are some requirements that we have to fulfill, but that's a policy we'll bring forward next month too.
Good.
First reading. That's it. Next item.
You feel it slipping, Dave?
It's slipping away.
Next item.
I think the under's going to win.
Next item is EHS and Horizon graduation and diplomas. Horizon is Friday, the 30th, 5:30? 5:30?
5:30.
Yeah. And what's that? At EMS this year, so 5:30 in EMS on Friday. Is there anyone that would like to come out and hand diplomas? I'd really encourage you to go. If you've been to other graduations, they're great. Horizon is special.
I can do one.
Okay, so we'll make sure we'll send you some reminders. 1, 2 is great, but you're all's welcome. It's really kind of a neat experience. And then the high school is Saturday, the 31st. 10.
10 o'clock.
Is that when it starts, or that's when they need to be there?
10 when it starts.
Okay, you need to be there 9:30.
And that
again,
will be
that's
on the
pretty cool.
field again, football field again?
Yes, as I understand it. So bring your long johns. We're running out of luck.
Colby's our resident expert.
Yeah, so if you want to give me a talk today.
Are you speaking?
Huh?
Cool.
Well, if they got questions, I got prompted. So.
Well, you
Okay.
came prepared to share, so maybe you should share.
What do you want to know?
Graduation. What's going
Same
to
as
happen?
it's been the last couple of years.
Outside.
Outside.
So again, 2 or 3, 4, just got to keep it under 4, I think. So,
I would like to
okay,
go.
Jenny? Again, we'll remind you, if you can't make it, that's okay. But again, that's a neat experience. That's what this whole thing is about. Okay, let us know if you're interested. Okay. That's all I had there. The last item we have is, and I hope I can find it, oh, thank you, is the Dunning Scholarship. This is what it's done. John and Guidance Department at the high school put this together, so it's called the Marion Dunning Vocational Scholarship. The Board of Trustees, it explains the process. This is for EHS and Horizon vocational students. If they're not a vocational student, it can be open to other students. So I like what they did. I think this is information, it doesn't have to be approved by the board, but you guys wanted to know what that money would go to, so.
That's great.
So it would go to vocational students?
Yes,
or-
The Dunning Vocational Scholarship.
Okay.
So I do have a question on here, and I'm kind of slow. So we would recommend giving $1,000 a year to 2 individuals. Would that be $1,000 for each individual, or $500 to the individuals? 1,000 each?
1,000 each, yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
I had the same question last time because the same verbiage was used and I didn't know either.
Yeah, so anyway.
They told me then it was going to be 1,000 per.
Okay.
That's all I have with that. So you better hope public comments goes a long time.
Anybody got a 55-minute talk they want to share?
No.
All right.
How will
Thank you for the-
those be chosen or approved?
Guidance department.
There's guidance, the high school department committee.
On
There's a committee.
recommendations from the vocational teachers?
There'll be an application process, and they'll review those applications.
And then
That's
they will
probably
just
great.
know-
On the
they know-
committee, I think
okay.
they should put a couple vocational teachers. That'd be a great idea.
So, yeah, on that end, but are we gonna notify the kids within the classroom or the vocational side that this scholarship is available?
They make a
The
list.
teachers will?
They make
Okay.
a list of all those scholarships available every
Okay,
year.
all right. Perfect. All right, we will now move on to public comments. Please state your name and your address.
Chairman of the board, members of the board, my name is Kylie Ingersoll. My address is 312 Marshall Avenue. I am here today, really, I don't have 55 minutes, maybe 5. But I'm here today as the city director of a new program that we're bringing to Evanston called Lemonade Day. I am a board member of Jumpstart, which is an entrepreneurship organization for adults it's an educational program for adults who are starting their own business. It's a 7-week program. There's a pitch competition at the end. And Jumpstart runs that. Under Jumpstart, we've decided that we needed to expand the offerings. And so we looked at the national opportunities for children. And so Lemonade Day is a youth entrepreneurship program. It is kind of what it sounds like, but it's a program that allows, we get a curriculum from a national program. It's 4 to 6 weeks that they kind of do on their own with a mentor. And then they hold a Lemonade Day stand. So all of the youth can hold their own lemonade stand, and it's community supported. And so we're bringing it to Evanston for the first time this year, August 9th, 2025. We have asked the school district and are so grateful for their support. They're going to send a flyer through all of the elementary schools, as the curriculum is for truly K through 6, but there is a middle school program as well. And we just wanted you guys to be aware of it, and also if you get questions or are wondering what it's about, have some contact. So it should be good. The curriculum teaches the kids to spend 1/3 of what they earn, save 1/3 of what they earn, and then donate 1/3 of what they earn. So hopefully that's what happens. The organization itself does not take any of the proceeds from the stands that kids do, but the kids get to keep all of the revenue. It is Lemonade Day happens in Laramie and Casper as well, and the average stand earns about $300. So, yeah, they can sell other things than lemonade, but we're just starting.
That's awesome.
I'll take any questions.
So I guess the stands and locations are left up to them as part of the process of the
Yes.
location.
Location. So they are, they have to write a business plan, and part of in the business plan, they have to decide where they're going to locate. They have to ask businesses. There are some sponsors, so that can be sweet spots. I should mention for sure, State Bank is our title sponsor this year, so we really appreciate them doing that. And so they're, if you hear of kids asking businesses, please encourage that they can let them be there. So. Any other questions?
Send them to my business.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I will.
You're not the boonies, though.
Yeah, I'm the shop behind the pilot, Southern Tire Mart pilot. Send somebody to me and I'll talk to them.
Sounds good. I will make sure you're listed.
The only problem is they might stop at the little building before your building and set up shop in front of the cannabis shop.
I don't know nothing about that.
No, okay.
Kylie, is there a local website?
Location. Sell snacks.
There is a local website. It's lemonadeday.org /Evanston. And registration is actually currently open, so anyone can register.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Kylie.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
She used to work with BOCES.
Yes.
For a long time.
Fantastic job up there, so. Good to see your smiling face.
Yep.
I left the assistant.
Yeah, so-
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
August 9th.
of the board. Can you hear me? My name is Sunny Schuler. I live in Fort Bridger, but work here. I am in front of you tonight as the EEA president. I wanted to voice, I'm sure you got a few emails. We asked our teachers and staff to voice some of their stories regarding the insurance increases to all of you. But I'm just here tonight to kind of add to those concerns, and I have no comments pointed towards any individuals, just Aetna. And some of the things that are concerning to our teachers and our staff is that we've gotten great raises with the ECA over the last 3 years. It's $6,000, and I'm just talking about certified staff right now. But a good chunk of that is being gobbled up by our insurance premium increases. Based on our newest numbers, right now, we're gonna be asking a family to pay $376 more per month than they were back in 2022-23. With our raises, it really is an offset amount of they're making $132 more per month. And that's the lowest end. For a single, with what their premium amount increases would be, and the raises that we've gotten, it leaves them about $378 per month. That's substantial. When we are getting money and we're trying to give it to our teachers and staff. So I'm just here tonight because I know not all of you will be at Meet and Confer, but we really do think that this is an incredibly concerning issue. It's just our insurance provider. And so if you do get emails, it's because we want you to hear some of the stories and the personal impacts that that's causing. I did get permission from one teacher to relay their story. They're a veteran teacher of 25 years. They had a spouse lose a job. They are incredibly concerned about being able to put money or put food on the table with what they have to do with the insurance. So I just want you to all be mindful about it and have a little bit more of a reference point with how it's affecting people day to day. So that's all I had. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Peterson, if I may, just a quick comment. What was described is why this board took the risk and sued the state. To have our employees come before the board with their concerns, they're coming to the wrong group. Where they need to go is to the legislature. The board, through the administration, have demonstrated over the last 12 years their commitment to the staff through raises when no money's been received. The insurance increases, we have very little control. The only control we have is the 35 benefit changes we've made. So I would ask those individuals that did email you, did they email our representatives? Did they email the representatives and the senators in our state and petition them for increases to salaries because we're underfunded? None of us sat on our hands. I constantly emailed representatives from our state and met with representatives from our state and encouraged this board to sue the state. That needs to continue, and it just can't be a select few. It needs to be every teacher needs to voice their, and every support staff need to voice their concern about what is being done in our state. I've already met with 4 legislators about recalibration. It is going to be ugly, and my guess is we may have to sue the state again because of the positions they're taking. But our staff, they can express their concerns all they want to you, but where the work gets done is to our state legislatures. That needs to happen. And our local legislators that aren't supporting these increases really needs to be called on the carpet. The voice of 600 employees is pretty powerful. The voice of 3 or 4 of us doesn't make the same impact. So I don't know if everyone understands that the insurance that our employees pay for is the same insurance that I have. Those benefit changes I've had to make. So I understand exactly what they're going through. And hopefully, when they do see the packages that are offered in negotiations tomorrow, they'll realize what our commitment is. So, just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Great.
Any other public comments at all? You state your name and address.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Casey Harden, 3684 Elmy Road, 107. I teach at the high school. First of all, I just want to back up Sunny with whatever she said. You guys got my email. Some of you wrote me back, so I appreciate it. You got my email. I just wanted you to put a face to the email. Pretty upset about it. And I do believe I will, I guess, respectfully disagree and say I do believe I need to come in front of you guys. And I have wrote my legislators.
Great.
And let them know. I'm not from here. I'm from Kentucky. I've only been out here about 12 years. So I don't know near as many people than I do back in Kentucky. But that doesn't mean I can't do that part. Okay? So I just wanted to let you know my extreme disappointment. And you guys got some of my, I guess, attachments to my email. It just blows me away that somebody 20 miles or 30 miles from here in the valley pays $7,500 a year less than what I pay. Yeah, I don't understand it. It's just flabbergasted, okay? So, just to let you know how disappointed I am, okay? And, you guys got my email. My wife told me to be civil. This is me being civil, at least, letting you guys know, face to the email. So, we'll be glad to talk to you guys anytime about your thoughts on it. All I hear is hearsay, this person thinks this person hears that. I don't really go by that, I'd rather talk to you, okay? So, good luck.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay, we will now move on to our action items. So we'll move on to action item A, personnel. I need a motion to accept the resignations as identified. As identified in the documents that we had received on school docs.
Motion to approve the resignations.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We will now go on to the contracts that were identified in the school docs. I need a motion to approve those said documents. Contracts, sorry.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those contracts have been approved.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the contract for the Assembly contract for moving on from board docs.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to approve the Assembly contract.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Contract will be approved. We'll move on to action item C for the disciplinary actions that were discussed in the executive session for the student as identified.
So moved.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. That concludes all of our action items. We will now move on to the board roundtable.
He lost big.
And I'm not even close.
Chairman Peterson, I do have one thing I'd like to mention. You guys all received a document from Wyoming School Boards about the recalibration professional judgment panels. What a neat opportunity. You just heard from our staff how frustrated they are. Basically, Picus, who is leading the charge as a consultant for the state, wants to put school board members on, what does he call it, the professional judgment panel. Take information and pass it on to the legislature. So I would encourage, if you have the time, to be a part of that. The dates are on the email that you received. I think it's a big deal to be on that judgment panel.
Yep. Yep. Can you tell me what the dates are again?
Sure. Online sessions are Wednesday, 5/21, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Thursday, 5/22, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. 6/2, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Wednesday, 6/4, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. In-person sessions will also be held on the following dates. Wednesday, 5/28 in Cody. Thursday, 5/29 in Gillette. Tuesday, 6/10 in Rock Springs. And Wednesday, 6/11 in Cheyenne.
So do you have to attend all of them, or a series, or just one? That was kind of
Let's see.
confusing.
So you need to get in touch as soon as possible to see if you would be interested in participating in this process. Time is of the essence. If interested, please sign up to participate here. There's actually a link if possible.
Okay.
You do not need to participate in all the sessions. Choose the option that works best for your schedule. So it looks like we can have multiple people on multiple days.
Yeah.
So you'll be going to Gillette?
No.
Cody, then Gillette.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of put a pitch in for that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I just have one. We talked about bear with me a little bit here, the climate survey. Wyoming School Board Association provides that, and I don't know if that is without a cost, but I think it's one of the services they provide, and I can find out if...
I'll check into that.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't charge us more. They're already charging us to be a part of the organization.
We already pay a fairly healthy, and so that should be something...
It would be interesting if we could submit the questions, but they submit the survey, because then you avoid any confrontation that it's somehow I'm checking everybody.
Yep, they will do that, yep. That's all I got.
I'd like to kind of follow up with Doug just a little bit. Stormy, you're going to be missed. Trust me. I think what's happened at the middle school levels over these past couple of years, you guys have done a phenomenal job. I think it shows in the character of the kids. My wife comes home and tells me that the referrals are about down to nothing now, and I think there's a lot of respect for the administration that's in the schools down there. So thank you so much, and you are going to be missed deeply, so.
Well, and I think hats off to all the principals and everything that have achieved the great things they've had with the levels that they've been able to get to, so. And I think that the number of folks that we had attend in January, I went a couple of years ago, and I think it was like 10 or 11 of us, and this last year there were 30 plus, so that's great, and hats off to you. Yep.
Any other comments?
I move that we adjourn.
Please, some more comments? I got 35 minutes to go? Okay, no. I got a quick question for you. On my little list right here, they're asking us to go to another executive session. Is there a reason that is on there?
Yeah, probably a mistake.
Oh, okay, all right, I didn't know if we needed to
It's actually,
recess.
it's supposed to be on there next month.
Next month? Okay, all right.
So we don't need it.
Okay.
You're welcome to if you want to go.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. I got a first, I got a second. Any more discussion, please?
No.
None?
Who made the motion?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Dave
Any
Bennett
opposed?
made the motion.
Dave?
I did, yeah.
And who
About 3
seconded it?
times.
And Brian seconded it. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have some.
Some signatures.